Welcome back to Rome Boys. Today we're picking on Tony.
Woo. All right. Got to do it sometime.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Poking the bear.
We've all been underneath the lights.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Last but not least.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Or
For
the
sure
tiger. Are you
Tony the Tiger is what they
Tony the
always
Tiger.
call me during Totus Tuus. The
Right.
kids did. So.
Did you like it? Or
Oh, whatever. It's
Okay.
kids, man.
Yeah.
Makes them
Yeah.
happy. It's good with me. So.
you like cereal?
Sure.
So Chris and I put some work into the studio. When you walked in, what'd you think?
It was amazing. Yeah. You should have been filming like my reaction to walk
Yeah,
in.
I wasn't here.
I'm like, feel like I should go through, off the red carpet or like, past
it's crazy.
the rope and here we go. I'm
Yeah.
walking in. This is so cool.
The guys
So,
watching, they're like,
This
yeah,
is
it's okay.
so cool. Yeah. The lights to the
Oh.
backdrop to the pictures to
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes,
when we were
thank you
sitting
guys
down-
for your time.
Yeah, when we were sitting down doing it, we finally sat down and just kind of looked at it all. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And they were
Yeah.
like, we got to see Tony's reaction.
Yeah,
And I missed it. I wasn't here.
Yeah.
So
it's
yeah,
awesome.
walk through the door. What was your first, what was the first thing
Those
that caught
lights
your
are
eye?
huge.
Yeah.
That is the biggest light. Like we were at
I know,
EWTN and like nothing is like, this is better.
yeah, it's huge.
This is this is better. So yeah,
Oh,
we
man.
didn't. We got makeup at EWTN, which
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not like.
By
But so thank
Veronica.
goodness, Veronica wiped the face of Jesus. Exactly. So
That's
but-
right.
So yeah, we'd like to go back to EWTN. That'd be sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
But
shout
this
out.
is pretty sweet. Yeah, and we can come here anytime. And so yeah.
So yeah, we're here for a while.
Mm-hmm.
For a good one.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Because I knew we were excited, and it was like, okay, we got to bring this. Now we're ready. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And what's cool,
So-
I mean, just a couple days ago, the billboard in Rowena. I mean, we
Yeah.
put up 14 billboards, and we
hometown.
finally get to do one near us. Like
Right.
in our town,
First
where we're
one.
going to be, and celebrating 5 years anniversary, and
Yeah.
having a celebration here in a couple of months. And so, we got the studio down, and we got the billboard here. Like, what's next, God? This is so
Mhm.
cool. Yeah.
The 5-year mark is interesting because said about business that if you can last 2 years,
I
then
thought you said 2 or 3. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, we made it through that.
then you can then you're established and you're gonna
Yeah.
you can last the long haul.
okay.
It's the first 2 years.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, there we go. So you're right now. You're currently in school.
I am.
You're a student again.
Yep, it started
Yeah.
yesterday for me, at least this next
Cool.
set of classes. And so
What class are you taking?
I am taking, what am I taking? A career class, basically how to help counsel people as far as what career they want to go into and job and that kind of
Really?
thing. So, and of course I have my oldest son who just gave his 2-week notice and not sure where he's going to go next. And then my
did?
second son is going just sign the letter to go to Franciscan University. So it's like they're going to their mom for advice, but
Sure.
Yeah.
so it's just my own kids and just like I said, career and planning, all that kind of stuff. So, and then the other class is dysfunctional behavior. So all my kids, I can look at, no offense guys, but you can find a lot of dysfunction everywhere you are,
Yeah.
including myself. So, but I've taken individual counseling, group counseling, research, social cultural influences, and a couple other classes. Addictions. I got 100% in addictions class. I don't know if that's a good thing, guys.
Yeah,
so-
just get it. Yeah.
And so,
Just get this stuff.
Got it from experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last class I took with Christy Cook as our professor, here in town, and on trauma. So that was an interesting class as well. So
Okay.
it is intense. It's 8 weeks, 6 credits, and you're just going. And so most of the time,
Christy was your professor.
she was, yeah,
Awesome.
exactly.
For one class or for
for
the-
that particular class, the
Oh,
trauma
what-
class, yeah,
trauma class,
trauma and
okay,
crisis is called. So,
Yeah.
and mental health concerns. So, anyway,
Yeah.
so it's been interesting. That was my path all along in college. I was majoring in psychology. I was going to be a psychology teacher, and I'm like, is that marketable? Are there teachers that actually do that? Like I knew a teacher in my high school that she taught one class in psychology. You can't make a living doing that. So and then I fell in love with the faith, and I started majoring in theology, and then that path just went that direction. But I'm like, wait a second, I've always wanted to do that, and so looked at all different types of careers in the area, and there is no openings for theology and everything else. So
Yeah.
what is something that I can do until retirement that can actually pay the bills, and we can retire in the future?
Yeah,
and
sure.
so being a counselor has always been the dream, or the hidden dream, or the unnoticed dream. I never knew I wanted to do it. I always was that way. And then now I'm coming around, I'm like, that's what I wanted to do and always have wanted to do. So,
And you made some comments about kind of the landscape with what people are going through
yes,
in the culture.
it is. Will be easy to find a job for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Because there's just every statistic in mental health, the problems, the struggles that people are going through, it's all on the rise. So if I wanted to dive into family or marriage or children or anything, the suicide route to depression, anxiety, there's a spot there that people need to hear and have a balanced voice. But I also want to bring my faith and my theology into things. And so whether I work for a particular organization or just go out on my own, that's got to be number one. We look to God, we look to our faith for the answer. And then we also look to the psychological things like we talked about in the prior episode of how so much can be cured or hinder us through the mind. And so if we get our mind straight, rationally, we stay on track and we stay positive and filled with joy, you can do anything in life. And I think a lot of fathers and husbands in particular are mentally, that's where the devil attacks. And he's able to get a lot of ground there. And if so, whether it be fear or whatever, fill in the blank. And so if we can have that positivity and that rational side always on track, and then our own physical health,
Yeah.
how are we doing there? Spiritual health. I mean, I always talk about, like I talked about in the talk of the men's talk, physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And so, a lot of women will focus on some of those. And so there needs to be, a little bit a direction one way and men the other way. And all of us, we can relate where there is something that is not where it needs to be at all times, So
Yeah.
I need to work out today. And that's maybe the way I'm not being very patient with my kids. I haven't read a book lately. I'm not stimulating my mind or doing, word searches or something. But, emotionally, am I connected with someone? Do I have a good close friend? Am I connected with my spouse? Or have we been just kind of going crazy with our kids and we need alone time? Have I had silence in prayer? And so for me, that's kind of how I want to start off our sessions. Like, where is that person at in that particular moment? And
A week before you gave that talk, it was the Sunday reading was 1 Corinthians 5:15.
Okay.
First the body, then the spirit. First the body, then the spirit. There's the earthly, then the spiritual. It's an interesting concept.
And I've always found in theology, whether teaching it or, learning, through different classes, bachelor's degree, master's degree, seminary, okay, that's all there. But oftentimes in the Catholic Church, the psychological side is neglected. And so if you can bring both of those together, like to really truly know like what can help a person mentally and spiritually together, then that person can be set on fire and do amazing things in life. So I want to bring that to the Catholic Church, the counseling side, the mental side, the emotional side. And then I also want to bring to mental health, they neglect the spiritual. They neglect the faith. And everybody, at least in my class, I'm going to Angelo State University, all the teachers and everybody in my class is very pro, yes, we need God and yes, we need faith. And they're very open about it. And a lot of people are also like, well, whatever works for you kind of thing, and the relativism there. But if you can bring faith to mental health and mental health to the faith, you're going to be able to do amazing things. So it's been exciting so far. I'm about 1/3 through the program, and then it's 60 credits, and then it's 3,000 hours of internship stuff and into internship classes and a huge test. And so I'm just taking one day at a time. So if I get the master's degree with the 60 credits, great. Step one, and then step two, okay, let's get into the field. And I would become a licensed professional counselor associate and do that for 3,000 hours. And then once that passes, then I would become an official licensed professional counselor.
So 1,000 hours is 6 months.
So, 3,000 hours, yes, is the total. But you're right into the field, right, when you have your master's degree and you pass your big test and you're an associate, and no one really cares at that point. At least my experience is, they're on the website, they can do counseling just like anybody else. They just have an A behind their name, and that's about it. And so nobody usually notices whatever else. And then you have someone you look up to, a supervisor, and you're checking with them. Okay, so this happened in session, and now what? What am I supposed to do with this? What can I say? What advice do you have? So I'm about to sign up for 2 150-hour classes towards the end coming up next year. So I'll have the classes and that internship classes. It's called the practicum.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So one thing at a time. I just dived into my classes this semester. And
So you really don't have a whole lot going on.
oh yeah, super busy.
Kind of
In the morning, homeschooling
Yeah.
the kids, and then in the midst of that, doing Rome Boys things, and then school, and then whenever there's a break, okay, let's do the things that I've been
And a
neglected.
daily
or-
communicant.
Yeah.
That is
daily.
always the priority. Yes, God has to come first. Absolutely.
It's funny when somebody puts an A beside my name, it means something different. So, is there any specific counseling area that you wanted to focus on? Or do they do that, or you have to just be into
absolutely.
everything?
And I don't know what that is, but
Okay.
they just started asking that question. You know, like
Okay.
I just watched this video. Like, what do you want to specialize in? What's your niche? What's your area? You know, and there's definitely things as I'm learning through classes. Like in the very beginning, I was like, no way. I do not want to counsel people that are suicidal. But then as I was doing the classes and had to do a huge project and then watched a ton of videos, I'm like, maybe I would want to do something like that. Because ultimately, the counselor is there to truly listen. I mean, and that's something that like is a whole nother skill set that I have not developed yet, to truly be interiorly, spiritually, emotionally, mentally listening to all things. It's intense. I'm sure I'll be exhausted in the day, and I'm
Yeah.
just sitting there, you know,
Yeah.
and then to truly just be a part of it. So I don't know. I don't think necessarily marriage counseling is an area that I may not go. But in my own experience and going through counseling myself, and then having the background that I have of parents' divorce, you know, fought for 14 years, been around kids my whole life, have my own kids, taught around 1,000 kids in the classroom. Obviously, that's kind of the area that I definitely want to stay with around kids. It keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel comfortable being around kids. I'm a big kid myself.
Yeah.
And then
Teach what you know.
adults as well. And then also like men. So many men will not go to counseling. They think they can do everything. And like for me, in all the sessions whether I did spiritual direction in the seminary or did counseling, I'm like, this will benefit anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone
Yeah.
could go to this and become better. It isn't just for the people that are depressed and thinking about taking their life.
Yeah.
This is for anyone. You will step out of there a better person and a better
Sports
human
figures
being.
do it. Celebrities
Yeah.
do it. You know what I mean? That's like there's
It
nothing
should
to
be a
embarrassed about.
no-brainer.
It
Like
just makes you
we
the
spend
best version.
tens of thousands, and I can say this with my own,
Yeah.
medical history, like tens of $1,000s on surgeries and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And it's like $100 to go to counseling.
Yeah.
Like think about that, like your own mental health, and you get that all.
And-
you know,
and
we
that
go to
can-
church to
stress
get our
can kill you.
spiritual, and we go to the gym and we spend thousands of dollars on memberships and that kind of thing. I'm not saying that's not
Right.
bad,
Yeah.
but let's focus on all areas of our own human person. So. Yeah.
Dang, Tony.
Yeah.
I know, right? Now when he graduates, he's looking at me funny.
No. I'm always looking. I'm like,
You're always
this
looking
guy-
at me funny.
This guy has always has to
I'm
work
listening.
on himself.
No.
Yeah,
I'm listening.
I'm
Like,
listening.
oh yeah.
And I have learned, being a teacher, at least my style, and I'm not saying it was the right way to do it, and I'm trying to learn. I would love to just tell everything I know to my students. Here's everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's an approach. I'm not saying that's the best, but with counseling, you're there to help that person learn, because they're the one that is going to change themselves. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
not giving the advice. You know, you're not necessarily steering them. You're walking beside them on this journey.
Yeah.
And as a messed up person that I am, as it is,
Yeah.
you know, it's amazing to me. In my classes, you know, we were in this addictions class, and I'm not giving away who said what, but
Sure.
you know, I was in the addictions class. One person was addicted to all kinds of things, like
Wow.
illegal things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're going to become a counselor? Well, absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
because we're all can have something we can work on.
Well,
That's
you
for
know
sure.
that, and you bring those experiences to your job.
Yeah. But it seems like almost everybody in the counseling field has gone through counseling themselves, and they've realized that they can help others as well.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know how you feel. I
There-
felt the same way.
Yeah.
That's what I found.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
Gosh.
Exactly. Yep. So it's fun. I can still be that teacher. I can still pass on the faith. I also enjoy listening. No offense, guys. You guys like to talk. You learn more by listening than talking.
Yeah, it's true.
And so I love just to observe, to take it in, to learn, and then to be able to pass on wisdom to others.
Mm-hmm.
And so every once in a while in a counseling session, you know, here's a little bit of what I've learned, or this is what other people have said. This is what I hear what you're saying to me, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's just to have an unbiased person that can give you logical, rational, truthful observations that is not involved in situation.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
It is. People.
Like when I was in the sessions, like, really, that's how I look. That's how I'm perceived. That's how
Whoa.
what I say, and that's how it is. I would never have known that. I cannot get that from my spouse and my kids and my friends.
Yeah.
Only you can see that.
Yeah.
So
And you
anyways,
can't
I hope
blame 'em.
everybody's going to sign up for counseling now.
Yeah.
Because it's just so beneficial. It really is. And
What are
finding
you
a
gonna
good
do? Get
solid.
mad at them? They're there to help you, right? Like
Exactly.
they're just telling you the truth. You're paying them to tell you the truth.
And then one thing that I felt called, definitely the Holy Spirit, to be a Catholic counselor,
Yeah.
and one that is truly Catholic, because in the field, as we know in our Catholic Church, there's so many people that say they're Catholic, but they're not practicing, they're not involved, they're not really on fire for the faith. And the Catholic counselors I've talked to and kind of interviewed and got to know, they say a lot of it's catechesis. You're telling them what the church teaches, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that's up my alley. I've done that for years too. So hopefully
And the
that's
church
an
has it all
asset.
covered, right? It's not
Exactly.
like-
Exactly. And then it's just good for me to stimulate my mind, because you get to, I've been out of school for, how long, 20 years, whatever it is. And to be able to go back and like to say, you know what, you can do this. So, by the time it's all done, I'll be 50, and as a license. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
But years ago, I would have said, dude, that's old. Never do that. Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
You only get one life to live, and so I can do it for I don't know how many years God wants me to do it. And then it's personal benefit for myself, and I can pass it on to my own kids, to anybody that's friends, And so it's like, what do you have to lose?
So much-
Go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Anybody who knows you too, you'll be an LPC, right? Licensed professional counselor,
Right,
and
exactly.
and there'll just be so much depth there. You'll be an interesting person to talk to. I mean, really, honestly, and like you said, Joe, like I just wanted to be able to have a story.
Right.
So many people,
Yeah.
tell good stories and have a story.
absolutely.
And,
Yep.
Stimulating
And
your
like
brain.
you said in the previous episode with you, like we all have our own gifts and talents, like all of us, like I could never do what you do and what you do. And you might say the same thing for me,
Right.
But we all have our place in this puzzle piece of the world that we can make a difference. And so it's just
Yeah.
exciting where God puts us and what we can do and how we can change lives. So
What do your kids think about the fact that you went back to school?
they can relate at least, so when I give them assignments in for school,
Yeah.
dude, dad's got way more work than I got,
That's
that
solid.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
like dad's studying way more than me. He's
He can
doing
relate
more
to me
work.
now.
He's going, doing assignments, and like I said, the internship coming up. He's got to pay the money for it, it's very much more relatable to me. And they'll even hey, everybody, we need to be quiet and let dad study. He's got
That's cool.
a big old thing he's cramming for and whatever else.
Yeah.
So it's been cool.
Like
different,
a boss, that asks you to do something that they would never do. You don't want to follow that person.
Yeah,
right.
But now you tell them to do their homework. I mean,
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're done in a couple
Doing
hours.
mine. Yeah.
I've been doing this
You
for
do your
8,
Yeah.
So they help you pack your lunchbox.
There you go.
Here's an apple
I'm
for the
still-
teacher.
Still, it's
Yeah.
started being crazy. Just like I said, homeschooling and meals and just all the work that goes around
Yeah.
the house, and then Rome boys, and then school, and I sleep well at night
Yeah.
From
because
exhaustion.
it is crazy.
So what does Liza think about all this?
She has always been very supportive of everything and
Sure.
anything.
I can
So,
see that.
and optimistic to the core. And so very much encouraging. And she's the one I go to like, hey, what the heck does this mean? Because it's all online. So it's like, okay, I can ask my professor, but then
Yeah.
she's brilliant. So she can tell me this is what they're asking. Thank you. Let me make sure I understand the directions and that kind of thing. So she's been there definitely to support and to
Yeah.
encourage. And so, yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now a word from our sponsors. Wait, we don't have any sponsors.
No, we don't.
It's where you
We
hear
are the sponsors.
crickets.
So we just wanted to let you guys know, if you wanted to help out our ministry, please especially on YouTube, subscribe, and please share with your friends.
Yeah, and 100% of all donations goes to the work of evangelization.
Amen.
Yeah,
All right, going to shift gears.
cool.
Let's shift some gears here. Okay, so
Sound
you're
like you just cocked a shotgun, but
it's a universal sound. Yeah, the sound of a shotgun and an open of a six-pack. Anyway, so you're basically a world traveler.
Yes.
You've been almost everywhere.
Oh no, there's a lot
on,
of world.
come on.
There's a lot of world out there, but I definitely want to still travel, and Liza loves traveling too.
Sure.
So,
how many
Okay.
countries? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
so I mean, the United States, there's a lot still that I have not seen, but I've been all over. Canada, Mexico, and now definitely Our Lady of Guadalupe in August when we go there. I haven't been to that particular spot in Mexico. Several countries in Europe, the Holy Land. And so on the bucket list would be Australia or Greece.
That was my next question. Bucket list.
Those kinds of things. And when you go somewhere once, it's almost like you kind of just get the lay of the land, but you got to go back again, like to be able to truly, see things that you missed. And then with Italy, I went 6 times. I felt like I really had to go back, to be able to see different parts and to really dive in, whether it be family areas that were, my ancestors are from, to go with my dad, to go with my sons, to go with my wife, to go with my mom, to go with the students. Like, it's just a different kind of experience. So, but I'm super excited about Our Lady of Guadalupe because to me, I mean, I don't know, nobody's proven me wrong. Besides Jesus' death and resurrection, what's the greatest miracle the world has ever seen and has done the most difference and made the most impact on the world but Our Lady of Guadalupe? Yep. So to go back there to say thank you.
In our recent times.
Yeah.
In our recent
Converted
times.
more.
I mean, like.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
For my own faith, I mean, I've always been a mama's boy and loved Mama Mary and praying the rosary. And she's the one that really got me into my Catholic faith, to thanking her for 7 great kids, an amazing wife, Rome boys, these 5 years, and to celebrate that. And just to be there before the Tillman and say, wow, this is truly something true. You can't argue with a story. You can't argue with the Tilma.
Yeah,
the Tilma is a fact that is multiple miracles within one thing. I mean, anybody that doesn't believe, sorry, you got to look. And
it's a living miracle.
We're in Lanciano and we see the Eucharistic miracle. What are you going to say to that?
Absolutely. It's the flesh of Jesus Christ.
Right there. Like, I've never heard anybody say anything different. So it must be true.
This is the one place in the world that I've been. He hasn't.
There you go. That's true. So far. Right. Yeah, until August. But you can say you went twice. So there.
Yeah. No, I'm excited about it.
And with the Holy Land would be amazing to go back. I went with a secular group and I had a Jewish guide. And it was cool and all, but to be with Steve Ray or to be with a Catholic, guide to truly explain everything. Yeah. And of course, the scriptures, and I studied the faith, and when I was there, I was inserting that, but to really go back there again would be amazing for me as well. Yeah,
that'd be cool once it's Gaza Riviera.
There you go.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
You studied the faith.
Yeah.
I think tell some more about that because you discerned into the seminary.
So Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, but did not. I had an amazing theology teacher in high school, so he introduced me to the faith, and I started to get kind of like being interested. There's a different path of discipleship. I would say I was interested at that point. And then in college, I said, there's not much difference between Protestants and Catholics. So I went to a Protestant Christian school in Kansas, Sterling College, and learned like day one, like there's a big difference between Catholics and Protestant Christians. And then being asked questions, and they're the reason why I'm Catholic. Because there was one night in my dorm room, like, Lord, I will do whatever you want me to do. I'll be a Baptist, I'll be a Presbyterian, Lutheran, whatever it is. But if this Catholic Church thing is not right or not real, show me the way. And that was an answered prayer right away. And I was like, yes, this Catholic Church is real. Okay, well, I'm going to major in theology at a Protestant Christian school. I'm going to write my thesis of why the Catholic Church has the fullness of the truth to one of the top Protestant ministers in the country.
Whoa,
he gave me a B, and I'm like, I'm surprised he didn't fail me. Like, sure. Just because I'm like, I brought it. Like, my goal was to convert that guy. And of course, it's up to God on that. But I was going to bring the truth to him. And so, those were cool. Very difficult years. And so to go from there, and then because of Totus Tuus, really finding my Catholic faith, and I can go back to that if you want me to, but then going to seminary is like night and day, like not really finding my place in a Protestant Christian school, thinking about joining the priesthood of all things, and not having really good Catholic solid friends, to seminary, the Denver, like one of the most premier, at least at the time, amazing places of Catholic faith, amazing archbishop, amazing class that I was a part of. And then really like having true brotherhood, true men of God, loving the faith, Eucharistic adoration every day, liturgy of the hours, rosary.
Playing soccer.
Exactly. Lost 70 pounds. Like, just like truly like went night and day. Absolutely. Yeah. And because of my college experience, I have an appreciation for Protestant Christians. I have appreciation of like, we really as Catholics need to love Jesus Christ as our Savior and Lord. We got to start there. We can't just jump to the catechism and paragraph, whatever it is, if we don't love Jesus and know him at all. Yeah. So and then from there, after seminary, getting a master's degree from Catholic International University, it's been renamed. So got a master's degree in theology. All paper-based classes are online. And so, and then teaching 11 years after that. So, but I always say, like, you don't have to have the degrees at all. No, it was informative and good, but my own personal reading has led me to help others and myself more than anything else. I'm even doing that right now with my counseling classes. Yeah. I'm reading books on the side. I'm learning more from the New York Times bestsellers ones, the ones that you can get on Amazon, more than my own classes. And my classes are great. I mean, this is some of the best education I've ever had. Like they're just, it's practical, it's down to earth, it makes sense. It's all, user friendly, I guess you can say. And so anyways, but we should always all be lifelong learners. Yeah. And so always, put something in your ear, listen to Catholic radio or reading something because I got to that point with homeschooling, like I need to be growing. And so this was perfect for me to get back into school. And so,
yeah. The first class that you mentioned that you were taking at ASU, I made me think I have 2 books I want to share with you. 48 Days to the Work You Love and Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. Anyways, because what was the title of the first other class you're taking?
Well, social, cultural influences and research, individual counseling and group counseling were the first ones. So and addictions and trauma. And then now the career one is what I'm doing right now.
Career,
exactly.
Okay. Finding your career, right? Anyways.
Yeah, how to give people advice on their career and school. Yeah. Should they go to school? Should they not? What vocational school? So yeah.
So you mentioned that Totus Tuus kind of helped a lot in your growth of your faith, but you also owe a lot to that Totus Tuus program. Man. You found your wife there.
Yeah, well, maybe I should go even backwards. Like getting Totus Tuus in our diocese to my own sons, and now my first daughter going to Totus Tuus camp, and then having Totus Tuus in parishes. Then back to the beginning, like really, like I have no idea why they hired me and my friend Chris Roth in Denver. He's in Wichita, Kansas now. Yes, I guess we went to Catholic school, but we didn't care about the faith at all. And so they hired us, and walking into that room and like seeing Jesus' presence in the real presence, the Eucharist and adoration for the first time in my life as a college student. Hello, Catholic grade school and high school. Yeah. Anyways, and so assume nothing. Like I always say in my talks, like tell everybody that if you're giving a talk that Jesus is truly present in the tabernacle, because you cannot assume anything. So I go in that room, and 48 of the 50 teachers are like on fire staring at Jesus in the real presence. And Chris and I are looking at them like, man, I guess they really think that's really God. Like, and I'm like staring at them, and I'm not staring at Jesus. And through that summer, I really came to love my Catholic faith. So it was Protestant Christians that really helped me to come to love the just Jesus in general, like not just Jesus, the Savior of the world, God. Yeah. And then a mission trip, that experience in high school really led me to be open to giving my life to God. And then, but it was Totus Tuus that made me, be bold, be real, be Catholic. I'm not saying you guys aren't Catholic, but like I'm the one wearing the Catholic shirt. Like I'm just like all in Catholicism,
Sure.
And so that's because of Totus Tuus. And so, so to seeing my kids go to camp and then come back transformed, and then they come back and they're praying the rosary every day. My boys are. I didn't do that. Like it was a Totus Tuus program,
Totally yours.
And so, and I know the founder, and I helped assist bringing Totus Tuus to the Denver Archdiocese as it spread from Wichita. Now it's going across the country, and just like it's like Acts, it's like Net, it's like Tech, it's like all these organizations. Like everybody should have them, because it really has transformed so many lives. So, and yes, I was in the seminary, and I prayed that summer that I would find a best friend that was a girl. And
watch what you wish for.
And I don't know why I particularly asked for that at the time. I think because I had such good brotherhood with the men in the seminary. Like I have tons of friends that are guys, but I think as a good solid priest, I would need a good female friend to Francis and Claire. Yeah. And so that prayer was answered in a different way, and really not falling in love. Yes, came along, but falling in love with Liza as a person, and just being good friends. And then like we would box together, we would wrestle, like we would go fishing and hunting and doing all kinds of things that friends would do. And then really becoming spiritual friends. And like we would pray for like 3 hours at a time. We would have a conversation and pray for the longest time. It was great because it was distant, right? She was in Kansas and I was in Colorado. We could do it all over the phone. And then, of course, as the guy, and Liza didn't see it coming, I'm like, I like her, that kind of thing. So I moved in a little bit. She's like, oh my, what the heck? I thought you were just going to be my brother and just going to be my friend. And I took that step and I said, Lord, I know that you called me to the seminary, but I know that I've always wanted to be married and have a big family. And so I'm going to take this step. I guess I can always go back to the seminary, but I'm going to take this leap. And that was really a death to self, because seminary was the safest place I've ever been, the holiest place, the best place on earth that I ever experienced. And to leave and to go from that into the unknown was extremely scary. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, right? He's taking that step and he has to believe that there's a bridge there and he can't see it, taking that step. And there I was, and I did it. And then thank God, Liza said yes. When I proposed to her, she never said yes. She said, let me think about it. It's the longest moment of my life. And I think she said, sure, or shook her head or whatever else. Eventually she had to say, I do. So at the wedding day. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's an interesting, you said you had the call to be in the seminary, but but was it the seminary that either did it confirm it or make you realize that you wanted to have a family?
I think what God did is he reformed this person in seminary. Like I told you earlier, physically lost weight, spiritually, just came alive, was able to put out the book Reflection of the Sun. That would have never have came about. Emotionally, starting that process of counseling in the seminary, dealing with the past on a 30-day retreat, and just weeping before the Lord and just knowing that I am loved, and that all the brokenness of the past had, we still work on that, but that began to be healed. And so, and then realizing once I was being remade, then that vocation, that always been there, but those layers were in the way. And that had to be removed and moved out of the way for me to be able to see, that's, and then Liza shows up. And so God's timing is just perfect. I mean, and I really believe, I was planning on going to Benedictine College that whole time. And she eventually goes to Benedictine. So God had a way, either if I would have been to Benedictine, I would have met her there, or Totus Tuus in seminary, and I met her via that way. So it's what are you doing, God? What you're doing.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Yep, absolutely.
Well, we have the fortunate privilege of working together, Liza and I. And people call me all the time. Just happened yesterday. I just wanted to call and tell you, is she your sister or your sister-in-law? My sister-in-law.
Doesn't matter. No.
Well, she's my favorite employee at Cross Healthcare, hands down, bar none.
I'm telling you this. What about you?
Yeah, I'm like, thanks a lot.
If I'm on the top 10, that works. That's how I'm used to it.
I saw a funny video yesterday talking about you're reading a script of God's plan for your life. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly.
Oh, that's why.
I figured it out later on. Yep.
What I didn't tell that caller was, my wife works for this company too.
You're right. You haven't met her yet?
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
What she prefers.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Martha and Mary.
There you go. So, with this whole Rome Boys ministry,
apostolate
ministry.
I like to call it, make it sound better. Bigger and better.
So, Chris and I kind of alluded to some of the things that it's done for us. And not some of the things that we've done with it. What has it done for you?
Well, my first response is the cross. It's been a struggle a lot of the time to balance, to be able to have the time to put the effort in, because I'm an all-in kind of guy. And so at the very beginning, I'm in. And so that's what happened. COVID hit. I wasn't doing any pilgrimages. Everything shut down. I was basically
that was a crazy time.
Full time, just all in. And
I believe that was 5 years ago.
It is crazy.
That's nuts.
And
especially for your job and everything too.
Right. Because everything just shut down. So what am I going to do? And we started recording. So, all right, let's do the social media thing. Why don't we do billboards? Why don't we do talks and help our diocese? So, and it just keeps going. And so to be able to recently pull back some on that, but then also, prioritize your time and make sure you do what you got to do. But it definitely is challenging being with you guys. Men, iron sharpens iron. So to be able to be the man you're called to be the father, to be the husband. But for me, the joy of a billboard going up, because they don't see me, they don't see you, they don't see you, they see Jesus, and that's the goal for evangelization. If we can bring people to Jesus. Now, if they see us through videos and they're led to Jesus, praise God, and that's what this part of the ministry is about. but to be able to do that, and who knows the souls that are being touched, by any of the types of billboards that we've put up. So, and even the social media posts, I just love doing it because you do it and then you kick back, and every once in a while go back and say like, okay, 3,000 people saw that today.
Yeah.
10,000 people. Wow. There was an idea here, and then I was able to create something and then put that out there. And what I'm doing at home is important. Absolutely. Being a dad and being a husband, being a father is super important. But as I'm doing the everyday things, those things, these videos, those social media, that billboard is touching lives that I have no idea, And so just let those things go in motion. Like you push the dominoes and there they go. Yeah. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I guess that's the beauty part of social media is that you put it out there and then it just does its own thing and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
It's out there. It's done.
And if there was an abundance of people already doing it, and there is a lot of people, but in the way that we're doing it, in the area that we are, in the diocese that we're at, and like I said, the way that we are doing it, then we can kick back and say, okay, now we're good. But nobody is. The harvest is abundance, but the labor are few. So so there's definitely a need and necessity. When I was in Denver, there was an abundance of guys and gals that had master's degrees in theology. So I was a dime a dozen to get a job. And so in this diocese, we really felt called to come here because it is a missionary diocese. It's dry. Sorry, Joe. As far as the rain goes, and dry spiritually. Like we need more priests. We need more solid families. We need more catechesis. We need more evangelization. I'm sure that's a lot of places. But to live in Denver and to live in Wichita, Kansas, and to see what Catholicism really is, what it looks like when it's on fire, and then to try to bring some of that here is, didn't the apostles do that? Didn't the saints like St. Patrick go to a place that didn't have it and they bring the gospel there? So that's what keeps me going. I guess that answers your question with Rome Boys, to be able to leave a legacy, leave your mark on the world. And people will forget about you, but as long as they remember Jesus, that's all that matters.
Right? I think you talk about the burden of the cross. Dave Ramsey says the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. It sinks. And so it is proof to me that we've had to sacrifice for each other, for the apostolate, because you have to die to yourself. When what is Jesus doesn't say just take up your cross. He says deny yourself, take up your cross and follow me. And we've obviously had to deny ourselves. And in a partnership, it's difficult because we have three different perspectives, three different views, three different gifts.
Which is the beauty of it. And then the cross, the struggle.
Well, every choice, there's a sacrifice. So we've sacrificed a lot for this.
And with Rome Boys, the spiritual warfare part of it, just how the devil doesn't like this and he wants to stop it and he wants to do anything he can to discourage and to get you to not do what you're supposed to do, as you guys talked about with the Acts retreats. So to fight that, to fight your own weaknesses, and to appreciate the gifts that are here and not look at those as burdens or as bad things, but as a complementarity and as a good thing. It's been a process, but that's where I'm at today, praise God. And sometimes, like you've talked about, it takes learning something over and over and over again. Eventually it might sink in, So, Well,
if it was 5 years ago, then I was 38 when we started. How old were you?
41, so 46 now.
It's, I mean, that's the changing of the, like, being a young 40-something-year-old to
because people are joking with us now. Rome Boys, you guys are boys.
We Rome grandpas.
It's funny watching some of our old videos and watching some of the new ones. Like, dang, we got old.
This thing gave us gray hair.
Right.
Some of those first videos was like, dude, what happened to us?
Rome Boys Silver Edition.
Love it.
Oh man, we thought we were young. We thought our audience was going to be like young men, and then it's like 70-year-old women. we love you too.
We did make a turn at Scott Hahn, or there's some certain time that actually men started watching us.
That's true. That's true. So
it's been great. I would say it's been fun. Building friendships here, and also with other Catholics doing great.
Because in this area, there's not a lot of solid men that love their Catholic faith and are willing to evangelize. And so it's been one of the greatest graces to be around you guys and to be able to see the difference that the impact that can be made with three knuckleheads. I always say, he can. I mean, Grace builds on nature, and Grace builds, what he can do with us, he can do it through anybody.
Yeah.
So, how many more kids you gonna have?
Oh gosh, Lord have mercy. 7 at this point is where we're at. And so that's what I think that God calls us to. But at the same time, we're open. And if Liza and I love kids, so if we ever had another one and twins run the family, that's probably what would happen. So, but that's, at this point, it seems like 7. But Liza always hints, would you like to adopt? Did you want a foreign exchange student? So, that's always been there. And I put the brakes down sometimes. Maybe after school's out, kind of thing. But then
get through this counseling thing first.
But it is a crazy part of life that, when we started Rome Boys, everybody's at the house now. I got a kid that's out on his own. Another one is about to leave. Another one already has plans of what he's going to do. What's happening? Everything's changing. So I think for me, it was a good time to pull the trigger in the sense of going back to school, because then less kids will be there. I'll be able to have some more time. Who knows with Rome Boys, being able to dedicate to that in a different way. So, yeah.
Glad to have you on the show, Tony.
Gracias.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing Duolingo, so gracias.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to catch Joe here one of these days.
I don't know. My streak is up to 345 right
goodness.
now.
I don't think I'll catch that.
You guys were Duolingoers.
Yeah, 345-day streak right here. I'm working on a year, man.
You know why I haven't started? Because I don't want to ruin my streak. Because I want to. If I'm gonna be all in.
Yeah.
When I get in there. So.
Liza went on vacation and lost her streak. No.
Duolingo, if you'd like to support the show.
Yeah,
exactly.
Please,
Shout out for sponsorship here.
Yeah. Bienvenidos.
Exactly.
All right.
Man, this has been great. It's
cool.
It's kind of complimentary to the first episodes we did of our testimonies and who we are.
Right.
This is a good part 2.
Yeah.
Was there a question, I guess, to end? Sorry if we were wrapping up here, but was there a question that you wish we would have asked you?
Ooh, that's a good question for a question.
I've always wanted our show to be of the heart, because I'm Liza sometimes is the heady one, and I'm like the guy with passionate Italian, of the heart or whatever else. So, and you remember Italy and all those people. Hey! Exactly. So, anyways, anything that would lead you guys to the heart, that's what I wanted to have these episodes, for us to do that, to share whatever's going on there. So,
it's kind of humbling because some people do want to hear about what's going on in our lives. So talking about yourself. So thanks for listening.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a men's group, and we've grown, and just hopefully, this is, like I said, in a brotherhood almost.
Yes.
Well, it really is.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
We thank you for you're the Padre.
Yeah. In a different way, yes.
In a different way. So, that was awesome.
Yes.
So in the meantime,
be bold.
Be real.
Be Catholic. God bless.